Drinks with the leaders, come on everyone. Drinks with the leaders, it's time to have fun. Business people, lots of ideas. You need some advice, come right here. Drinks with leaders is here.
Oh, where are you, Scott? What a big piece of something to put in front of your face today.
Oh, it's fall decor.
I imagine you're the one that purchases that for your house and puts it all around your house.
No, my wife has she loves decor. I don't know what it is, but there's always something new in the middle of our tables.
I see your guys, like your pictures. You guys are always matched alike for your family pictures. And to be 100% honest with you, I didn't think you had anything to do with it.
No, I have my biggest problem with family pictures is I'll always like go out like for a happy hour. And then my wife's like, oh, by the way, we have family pictures. I'm just completely like bloated. It's like eating Chinese food. So I need to do a better job of planning that out.
Yeah, you better, Julie, we better make him step it up. So first of all, hello, I haven't talked to you in a while. How you been?
I know. Well, you had your birthday recently.
Yesterday.
And so I know. So how did your birthday go? Or should we dive into that later?
Well, it was really fun. I'll just say real quick because I'm trying to act like I didn't turn a fun number anymore, right? So it was really fun. I realized how many amazing people I have in my life. My doorbell rang 3 times with 3 different flower deliveries. So right now it looks like a flower shop around here. Got all sorts of lots of friends go out for dinner last night, so much that we had to follow the social distancing rules and they had to give us private rooms and tables. So it was a really good time. Thanks for asking.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to talk more about that, but do we need to talk about?
Yes. So yes. So our sponsor, it's right there. You got it. Our sponsor is Bacon Blue Valley, and I'm going to let Scott dive in the details with them, but I want to say something really exciting. I was a judge for the Philly Awards this year, which is a nonprofit connect, the awards that they give back for nonprofits. And Bank of Blue Valley is their sponsor for that this year. So I was really excited. They're doing some amazing things in this city.
Yeah, they not only look to what the normal banking clients, your big brands, your big businesses, but they really reach out in the community to help bring others up and help serve those that are in different positions. And Bank of Blue Valley is actually one of the top 5 largest banks in Kansas City. And a lot of people don't realize what a great kept secret they can be, but more importantly, that they do so much more than banking. So we always send out the link. They're always hiring and they're always growing. And we still need to incorporate a Wendy Reynolds question. She's the CEO, but we'll be working with Felicia and Sean on Monday of incorporating that into the show. But without any further ado, we have an amazing panel and many more Bank of Blue Valley references. But how do you want to get started? Because I got a song for you. It's not a birthday song, but I thought you'd like it.
Okay, first I want people to jump on here and tell us who you're excited to watch today. Tell us where you're watching from. Are you watching? Our Facebook audience has been growing. So we're a LinkedIn native show, but we've been streaming to Facebook recently. So tell us hello. We want to say hi. Ramon's already on here. I know you are big. I love that you show up every week for us, Ramon. So let us know you're here. We're super excited. Share with your friends. We've got an amazing panel. I'm ready. Start your song and let's start bringing people in. We're going to go ladies first. We need to get to know each other better.
You don't like this song?
That's all right. Okay, our first guest today is one of my favorite women to follow. I think in the entire, I don't even want to say metro. I want to say across the board. She's doing some amazing things. We're going to let her talk about those. But Miss Alicia Kennedy.
Hello.
Hi. All right, our second guest today. We can't hear the music. You're slacking on your job. Bring it up to the thing. Our second guest, this is the first time we're meeting in person, and I'm considering this person, is Mr. Jeff Chapman. And he looks like very presidential today. All right, our next guest, he's a cosmic lover, cosmic partner. Last week, our guest This is who he was. We talked about him last week on the show. But Mr. Mikko, how are you?
Hi, I'm loving the 90s vibe here.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Kent Galley.
How you doing, folks? So what did you mean, Aaron? You're not. I thought you were a Third Eye Blind fan.
You know, my favorite all-time band is Matchbox 20, but then randomly I love hip-hop. It's like Matchbox 20 and hip-hop, and that's really it when it comes to what music I love. And Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
So,
strike out there.
Try.
Thank goodness the panel will back up my poor selection.
I'll be in charge of that too. I do want to say hi real quick. We have Gigi on here. We have Christine. And then we have somebody random that told me happy birthday. I appreciate it. So let's get started. Alicia, let's start with you and we'll just go clockwise. Tell us who you are, what you do, what's going on that's exciting in your life, all the things.
So I am Alicia Kennedy, and I am a local attorney in private practice. My practice is primarily civil litigation, handling issues ranging from business transactions, real estate transactions, estate, and family law. So if it has to do with the title or real property or family-related matters, I'm your person. And that's what I do in real life. I'm also very civically involved. I was most recently just came off the city council in Kansas City, where I served as the 5th District Councilwoman. Yay, public office. Awesome, right? And so not that I did not have enough. I ran for mayor and had fun doing that and impressed a lot of people and was asked to run for lieutenant governor. So I'm in the thick of a campaign for that now. So if you haven't voted, you got 21 more days to the election. And I encourage everyone to vote. Just go vote, exercise your civic duty. But so I enjoy pairing my advocacy skills in private practice as well as to serve the public as well.
Well, we're biased. We're biased on this show, so we want people to vote for you. But I like how you just said, just go vote.
Yes.
Dude, she's so political. She even says the right thing. That's why I'm always like, I need to hang out with you more.
So nice.
I know. Jeff, who are you and what is going on awesome in your life?
Thank you. My name is Jeff Chapman. I'm a 6th generation Kansan, grew up in central Kansas, and I've been in the Kansas City area since about 2013. I came to Kansas City to work for the Henry W. Block School of Management and work with the UMKC Foundation to raise some dollars. But prior to that, I spent a lot of time in nonprofits and the for-profit world out in Kansas as a commodity trader. I worked in the emergency equipment business. I've been in the manufacturing and purchasing and plant flow world, and have always been a volunteer for chambers of commerce. And I'm a 23-year Rotarian and have been involved with those organizations for a very long time. But now what I'm doing is something I really love even more, which is running a program called Leadership Kansas for the Kansas Chamber. And so while I still live in the Kansas City area, I'm officed in Topeka, so I'm coming to you live from Topeka today. I actually have 5 organizations within the chamber that I'm the executive director of, so I have the world's largest business card. In addition to Leadership Kansas, I'm running a program called the Kansas Manufacturing Council. We have the Kansas Retail Council, the Kansas Chamber Education Fund, and a new program called Kansas Emerging Leaders for some younger leaders. So those are the 5 programs I'm involved with, and I'm very happy to be there and be a part of it. It's a program I volunteered for the last 10 years, and now I get the opportunity to be a part of a program at the leadership level to do things I've always wanted to do with the program and continue to interact with all the great people and leaders in Kansas that are involved in it. And so that's me, and that's what I do.
I like it. And did you know that actually Carlos Gomez, who's here at the Hispanic Chamber, he lives in Topeka and drives in. You guys should honk on your way by every day.
Carlos is going through our program next year, and he's also on the board of one of the programs, the Kansas Emerging Leaders Program, which is getting started in 2021. So I know Carlos well. I got to know him pretty well when I was at UMKC.
Awesome. Yeah, he's a past guest on this show. So that's a big drive. You guys honk at each other on the way back.
Yeah, we'll do.
Mikko, who are you? What do you do? And can you remind us what we called you on the show last week?
I believe BG called me her cosmic beloved.
Cosmic beloved, that's what it was.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm honored, and she's a firecracker, and I love her. So yeah, I'm Mikko Carrea, and I also am in public service. We have been, well, in short, so I'll say about 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, BG and me and our 2 kids and 2 cats at that time set out on our journey of our soul path. We knew there was more to the life that we were living. We were living very comfortably in West Los Angeles at the time, and we wanted to expand our horizons, and we wanted to find out where we wanted to launch our company at the time, which was a media tech company. And the journey itself turned into our business. The journey itself became our soul path. I was teaching yoga, and we started doing retreats and healing sessions, and it just grew and grew and grew and turned into, us traveling around this beautiful United States of America and doing immersions and helping people out and actually cultivating the energy. We were guided by a lot of people that were seers to get ready in 2017 for a mass awakening that was happening, a mass shift on the planet. And so it turned out that we actually were getting ready for everything that's going on in the world right now to kind of catch all the people that are, disenfranchised and not quite sure what to do with themselves, and the energy is affecting them, and they're losing jobs, and the illness that's happening around, the illness, the energetic illness, right, of fear and having disease manifest itself in that way. So we have been in the trenches of this healing business, really, not super glamorous. It's, we just call ourselves spiritual janitors, just really helping people out and helping them, anchor in more light that they need into their system and remove negative blocks that is holding them back from their fullest potential. So it's been a very, very humbling path of, working through our ego of whatever was blocking us so we can serve, right? I mean, we can serve the community. And we've only been here in Kansas for almost coming on just 1 year. And we stumbled upon it. We manifested, somebody on our team and our family that was from Kansas. We came out to meet and do some work together, and we just fell in love. I mean, we love it here. I love the people. I love the landscape. I love the season changes. And so we've been here and, just connecting with the beautiful people of Kansas and doing our work here. So it's an honor to be here with everybody here that's in service and doing such a good job in the trenches of the offices and pushing the paper and, getting stuff done and moving. So thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And it's an honor. So.
Well, we appreciate you coming. How about you, Kent? Who are you and what do you do?
So I guess I'm the only person not on this panel that's not in public service. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but and unlike Alicia, I am a recovering lawyer, and so I am actually a JD CPA. So went to school for a lot of years, ended up not using much of that stuff in a practice, right? So probably makes me foolish. But I'm originally from Kansas City, born and raised. Went to Shawnee Mission South. And the only time I have not lived here was when I went and I did 6.5 years in the Air Force as a controller, and then came back. The Air Force actually sent me to law school, and then I got involved back in the corporate world. And so I am fortunate enough to be the COO for a holding company, and we have 4 different companies. We do payment processing with one company. We do we have a retail specific app that does point of sale and payment processing and inventory management. for retailers, and we have over 3,000 clients on that. And then we have a company that we bought down in Tampa that does back-end office and party design for direct sales companies. And then our last company it ties everything together, so you can host virtual parties and sell anything from your phone. And so we've, I would say our biggest claim to fame during COVID time is, yes, we've landed a bunch of new clients, and that's been good and rewarding, and we've maintained full employment, but we actually hired 39 people, with 21 of them being software engineers. So we're still doing well, and we're happy with what we're doing right now. So, but honored to be here and appreciate the invite.
Ken, you also have an affinity for sports. Can you give everyone a little bit about your sports analytic background?
Well, I did a brief, I'd say a flirtation, a dalliance, if you will, with the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Royals. And I did some of their analytics for them based around player lifespan. And then was fortunate enough to do a project with the Braves when they opened up their new stadium, SunTrust Field, where we got to put little tags on people when they came in, and we tracked where they went in the restrooms and what lines they stood in, and to help architect where the concession stands ought to go and the bathrooms and how many we needed. So it's been a lot of fun. That's one of my side interests, right?
I have a question. A very important question. Are the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball?
Yes.
Yes. So we've turned into a sports show. We've actually
had so many athletes, I never know.
We've actually had some recent Pro Bowlers on the show and all-stars, and Aaron doesn't even know who they are, and they just come on the show. They're usually
my friends too, and I'm like, I don't know. I didn't ask who they did.
Right.
So Julian Wright, Spencer Ware, just to name a few, but it's super interesting. Yeah,
sure.
I always like their other stuff, right? I feel like enough people probably ask them about sports. I don't need to talk about it. All right, so why don't you ask the next question?
Alicia, I'd love
Alicia, say her name right.
Yeah.
Alicia.
2 questions. Obviously we'd love to talk about a recent success or win for your business, but then also I'll remind you, I think it'd be educational for people to learn how the government works on the Kansas City, Missouri side in terms of voting with city council and the mayor, because I think a lot of people think they don't understand all the work that you and your counterparts put into creating our processes and organizations in town. A lot of people think that the mayor does a lot of it, but it's a very holistic approach to it. So recent success and win, and if you could kind of explain how city council and the mayor work on voting.
Well, that's a very loaded question, and let me make it concise as possible. So the first thing is the role of voting and governing at the local level. So we have these elections, and you elect your leadership in Kansas City. It's on the Missouri side, and we have a mayor council form of government, meaning we're all elected to governing body of 12 council people plus the mayor. They're the voting body, but we have a strong city manager form of government. So the city manager is basically the CEO of the city, and the city council is the board. We're the board, the elected board by the constituents. So it's broken up into council districts. I represented a district, the 5th district, which is about 80,000 residents within Kansas City. So I was voted on in district by those residents. We have 6 in district. We have 6 at large where they voted on by the whole city. And so having the responsibility to govern on behalf of this constituency, this whole council district, which is bigger than a lot of cities or towns throughout Missouri. But working with your colleagues to govern effectively, to be able to properly legislate and to meet the priorities of residents citywide. And so you and your colleagues who have different constituencies, because every part of the city is unique, agree on what are the priorities going to be for the city and how are you going to fund them, and how do we address issues as they arise as relate to the citizenry. So whether it be public safety, whether it be housing related issues, how we use our tax incentives or the lack thereof, because they do divert funding from education, and then also be mindful about each other's priorities within your district, because you have your own projects you want to get done within your district, right? The Northland wanted a soccer field. My council district wanted, a new grocery store. Some other areas may want new entertainment districts. And how do you support each other in those wins as well? So you got to get your vote of 7, your voting block of 7. So why your vote as a constituent matters is because you're electing who's going to represent you in that capacity, and represent your interests and make sure that they're taking into consideration the concerns of the things that impact you, whatever those priorities are. As the elected official, you need to be able to count to 7. How do you get 7 votes to be able to get whatever it is you're working towards, whether it be policy or funding, or even just a priority for some long range planning? You've got to get a number of your colleagues along with you to be able to get that win, so to speak. On the council I served on, Mayor Sly James was the mayor at the time. And coming into the council, there were a handful of things that he knew he wanted to accomplish in his second term and asked for my support on. That was the airport, streetcar expansion, the GEO bond, all things that he was able to check the boxes, and I was in support of him on most of those things. As a council person, things that were important to me was improving public safety, being able to improve community engagement, because that's the beginning of being able to get what you want, is to be able to engage people. And then as well as making sure that our economic development policies were more equitable. Those were some wins that I was able to walk away from the council with, because I was able to negotiate for local hiring on the new convention hotel, the Lowe's Hotel, first public project that ever had a local hiring commitment on it. Huge for Kansas City. Work on renegotiating the local WMBE ordinances, the women and minority owned businesses, to increase the goals for women owned businesses, and which expanded opportunities. So that was a huge win. Being able to get more people engaged. So opening up citywide public meetings that allow more people to be involved in the conversations about what was going on, which in turn translated to more voters being involved, because people don't vote sometimes because they don't know what's happening. And so those are some great examples of what advocacy looks like at the local level, and the effect that you get of voting. People don't always see or realize what impact your vote has, but when you elect good leaders that are transparent and are working in alignment with what your priorities are, you will ultimately see change if they're able to work with their colleagues.
Alicia, for president 2020, what's 4 years from now?
I know, Lisa, I had the privilege of hearing you speak when I was in the Centurions leadership program, and I didn't understand that when the Cerner campus was built, who was actually doing the work. And I think it's wonderful that you champion the convention center, because what's the benefit of these big projects if we're not going to have local people working on it? So I just thought it's interesting for our viewers to know that there's 13 people making decisions, and you got to get to 7. And a lot of people think it's not. The mayor makes a lot of those decisions, but I just think it's a good educational piece. Now, Jeffrey, when I first met you, everyone referred to you as Chappie. So I knew that you'd be someone that everyone was friends with because of how fond everyone loves working with you. And you inspired me through your persistence and perseverance when it came to certain awards and recognition. It's a topic that Aaron and I have a talk about a lot. But for you, before diving into your personal background, everything that you've achieved, what's a recent win or success other than having the longest title of a business card in the state of Kansas history?
Well, it's really hard to narrow it down. I've got some great wins. I started out the year in January, just before I left UMKC, very proudly. They raised a little over $53 million at their foundation this year at the university. And I had a bit
good pipeline.
I had a bit part of about 37 million of that. So very, very proud. I feel like I left helping that organization, that university, those students and faculty very well. And so very proud of that. But since then, and since COVID occurred, the Leadership Kansas program is one of 37 statewide programs. We're the second oldest program, but we are the only program of all those that are still doing the program in person, that are taking our leaders around the state and teaching them about what's happening in those regions in person on site, versus either canceling the program or postponing it or just doing it virtually. So very proud of that, because we have now been able to take these leaders out, and we're learning from others how to deal with what the new norm might be, and how to handle large events, and what to do with um, a variety of things that come up with needing to pivot and change, even if you're a big corporation or a big organization. And then secondly, we just last week had the manufacturing summit, the Kansas Manufacturing Summit, and we had the first ever Coolest Things Made in Kansas contest. And we had over 35,000 votes and several thousand nominations for 50 companies that went into a 16 tournament bracket. And we chose a winner last week, and it was awesome.
So give us the top three and what each top three did,
I'll
because
tell
the
you the final
products are interesting. So you can tell us
Yeah.
who won.
I'll tell
Who's
you
in
the
business
final
journal?
four. The final four. The one company is called Roanoke, and they make a product called T-Blocks, and that is for stem cell growth, and they can do stem cell growth outside the organism rather, and it can be better and faster and more applicable to many things. Crazy science stuff. That's about all I can tell you. Garmin has a product called Autoland, which is private small planes, and now we'll be moving into commercial. That if something's wrong with the pilot, they can hit Autoland, and the plane will find a runway and land, communicate with the tower on it, which is totally awesome. We have a company called Custom Built Dredges. They are in Topeka, and they build these giant dredge machines that clean out rivers and lakes and ponds and do some pretty cool stuff made right here. And then the one that was the winner is called Emp Shield, and they have a little box that you can put into your electrical system, either at home, residential, or commercial, and it will take violent surges like lightning strikes, etc., and protect everything. And they're almost a nearly 100% guarantee. I mean, it's a really cool item. But the way people were nominated and the way they won was all based on voting. It wasn't on, we think that's really the coolest thing. It's because they received the most votes. We made it a public activity.
Yeah, and Chappie, one thing I think is wonderful is you mentioned the fundraising you did at UMKC as you were transitioning. I think it's important. We have a lot of young listeners that are listening. That it's so important to, the classic "leave it better than what you found it." But I think that's something really important we lose focus on in business, is making sure that we don't burn bridges, but we help grow not only what we're leaving, but what we're going to. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Mikko, I want to talk about a recent winner success, but also what's a misconception a lot of us have as we go through life with our energy that we could be doing differently as we're approaching life?
Well, I think one enormous thing right now is slowing down. I think slowing down of the mind, slowing down of the action, especially in this pocket that we're in right now, like in a space of Mercury retrograde, and which is the planet of communication and travel, and not necessarily wanting to act too fast, but slowing down, being in your presence so you can be aware of everything that you're putting into your body. Everything is energy, everything is frequency. So are you taking care of yourself with your diet first and foremost, right? Because the cleaner diet you have, the closer connection you have with your own heart, with creator, God, source, love, universe, whatever word you want to put there. And then comes, our relationships and practicing non-reaction, and being grounded in who you are before you make decisions and moving forward. And so I think really, that saying of, whatever you focus on is where your energy goes. So just making it clear of what your intentions are, right? And what you, and I'm sure everybody here can acknowledge that having a full team or a full family focusing on the same thing, pointing out to the world to get the same mission done, is not an easy task, but perseverance and staying on course, and each and every day, right? It's a process, right? Some days it's not glamorous. Some days you want to give up, and what you do is you keep going. And so I feel like what our motto is, you know, accountability and transparency and ownership, right? So making sure that you're getting all of those moments where we normally stay hidden, right? And mask things and stay in a kind of an illusion. What's happening with the collective right now is all of the masks are falling by the wayside. All of the illusions are dropping. Truth prevails. And so just being able to stay grounded no matter what's happening externally, and realizing that, you know, the real battle is internal, right? Is with your own work, with your own heart, with your own ownership. And like I said, perseverance and, you know, finding out what it is you are here to do. I believe we are here. We do come to this earth to recognize that we are whole. You know, we come to this earth to recognize that we're more powerful than we have been told, maybe, or we're more powerful than we tell ourselves. So I think just a daily, spiritual cleaning and checking in, and what can I own? How can I show up a little bit kinder and a little bit better than I did yesterday? That's ultimately what we're doing here. So we have the macro vision. I'm a part of that macro vision because I grew up as an athlete. I played baseball my whole life. And, my claim to fame was Paul Konerko was my catcher in high school. And can't
love that comment.
Absolutely.
And so that gave me the tools to know what it takes to, show up every day, no matter how I feel. Right. And to not give in to the feelings and to keep going. And then Bijie comes in with her journalism background with the macro vision. I'm the micro vision. The media aspect. So the biggest arm of our company is conscious media. So we're setting it up to, be a cathartic dimensional media, so people can watch and see what it takes for people to move through the muck of their ego and confront it and do the most difficult thing in the moment to expand, right? If we stay comfortable, there's no expansion. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, Mikko, we're going to jump to Aaron here, and then I'll ask a question to Ken. But conscious capitalism is Redemption Plus. The owners and leaders of that organization are very involved in there. I'll put it in the chat. But Aaron, what are we doing in the comments section?
Well, so for a couple of things, I want to touch on something Mikko said too. He mentioned kindness. And so I'm going to bring up a former guest. Dr. Michelle Robin actually is launching a kindness campaign that starts tomorrow. It runs for 30 days and ends on International Kindness Day. I had my whole team. It's free. You can go sign up. I'll put it in the comments over here as well. But essentially, our whole team is doing it. But it's really to what Mikko said, to put kindness back out. You get an email every day with something that you promise to do, that you commit to do that's kind. And nothing that costs money. The whole thing's free. But essentially, part of them are also just being kind to yourself. And it's just something I just love. She has a goal of having 1 million people participate. So she is doing amazing. So I just wanted to bring that up. And then I wanted to say, we're getting ready. We're past the half hour mark here. So I know that people are going to have questions just based off of how many people are watching. And you guys see me, you can look on my phone back and forth on both platforms. So start putting your questions in over here. This is a great way to network, to grow your following. So just so you guys know, start asking your questions, because nothing makes me sadder than when people ask questions the last 5 minutes and we don't get to them. So I'm going to go back to you, Scott, but I just wanted people to get in there.
Yeah, for instance, we had someone just put in a comment that is referencing something coming up that he should put a link into. But Kent, we're going to ask you a question.
Sure.
And Kansas City has 2.1 million people. We have 71,000 companies. I think people would be interested to hear, out of the fastest growing companies, out of those 71,000, since I'm a business nerd and I know these weird stats, you're probably one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in Kansas City. And you guys are not small either. So I'm going to say it's because they hired you because they had all that growth.
Right.
Or coincidentally, it started right when you were there. But can you talk about why are some of the reasons why you're growing so much? And then one other comment about what you look for when you're hiring.
Sure. Yeah. Great questions. So really, we've done a combination of organic growth, and we've gone out and sought capital. So we have grown some by acquisition, and we've also grown from using recruiters, right? More social media campaigns, getting people out talking to their friends. We have a referral program at work, and 8 of our people came via referrals from other employees and associates here. And so we really, it comes down to some diligent planning and spend a lot of hours kind of mapping out what this looks like. And our sales and revenue volumes need to be at this number to hit this. And here's what we think we can sell. And it really took a very focused effort to get the right people that in the right seats, as you've heard everybody on this panel has heard that numerous times. And what we look for, I think it's interesting. Our biggest trait is we look for life learners, right? So we also are big fans of Culture Index. So we do use that. And we also use the Dan Staup and the Sandler folks. They have, Divine training. We do assessments for our salespeople there. We use a in-house test for our engineers that our engineers have come up with. But really people who are always curious, people who are not necessarily clock watchers, and people who care about culture. And so we do spend a lot of our time on culture, talk about stuff like tandem skydiving with the team, right? All the way down to when you're talking about in COVID times, we have different, we had the hydration fest where we got these cups for our people. And every day on this challenge, we have people taking pictures of how many cups of water they're drinking, all the way up to virtual, hunts where you go over town and you're not actually going in places, but you're taking pictures of yourself with scavenger hunt type stuff, all the way up to we have a weekly unwind. Is every Friday afternoon from 4 to 5. We get together virtually and talk about what the wins were for the week. We play trivia. Sometimes we play a game. There's an apropos game for the time called Pandemic, which is a board game that we played one time. We also have people that bring, Switch, and we try to get community gaming. We do all that type of stuff here, right? So really try to give people a sense of work-life balance and camaraderie. And so we look for people who that's important to them, right?
Man, sounds like a baller place to work.
You said you didn't serve the public. No, I was just mentioning, Ken said he didn't serve the public. He was the only one here that didn't serve the public.
He was also in the Air Force. So
Right. That's true.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why. Go ahead.
No, I said that's why you have hosts like Aaron and I that hype all of the guests up. So we know when you guys are being modest. So we can hype you back up and know that you're hiring more people than anyone else in Kansas City. Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, so just jump in here and ask your questions. It's always so funny because the days that I'm harping on people, I get so many questions afterwards. And then I'm like, now you got to ask them yourself. So if you got awesome questions, get in here. I know a lot of times I always find myself zoning in. So Alicia, I want to touch on something. So this is where we start. Alicia asked for the list of questions and we're like, then the second half, we're just going to go like this. So now we're going rogue. Here we go. Alicia, can you please tell us what does the lieutenant governor do for those of us that do not know?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah.
That is an excellent question. And that is the most commonly asked question. And I've made it very easy to understand with the link on my website, CanadyForMissouri.com. That's CANADY, CanadyForMissouri.com. Click on job of lieutenant governor. And I will tell you just quickly, the lieutenant governor has responsibility, is the only position, statewide position, that's in the executive branch and legislative branch. So you're elected statewide in the executive branch, You're by state constitution, you're next in line for governor and serving in the situation where the governor is incapacitated or unable to serve for any manner. And then also you serve by constitution as to preside over the Senate, which is the legislative piece, and you vote in the event of a tie. So those are the constitutional responsibilities. And also there's no term limit currently on lieutenant governor position. By state statute, well, this is a statutory thing, but by state statute, the lieutenant governor has a number of different responsibilities. The lieutenant governor by state statute is to serve as a chief advocate for seniors and veterans across the state of Missouri. And we have about 470,000 veterans in the state of Missouri, very high population of veterans and a much larger population of senior citizens throughout the state. As well as that, the lieutenant governor informs and advises in the areas of education, early childhood education, housing, economic development, and tourism, which is one of the top 3 industries across the state as far as the state is concerned, as well as public finance and investments, in addition to the Arts Council and a number of other things. And the website link has like a full, like maybe 3 or 4 pages of all the statutory boards, commissions, and committees that the lieutenant governor is responsible for overseeing across the state. But it is a very influential position. One of the challenges that we've had is that the current lieutenant governor wasn't elected, he was appointed. So Governor Parsons was the lieutenant governor, the elected lieutenant governor, before Governor Greitens resigned. So he stepped up. So that left an opening with some controversy around whether or not the governor had the legal authority to appoint the lieutenant governor or not. It was kind of ambiguous. Went up to the Supreme Court. It was a split decision, decided that the governor could. So the current lieutenant governor, Mike Kehoe, was able to stay in position. But now he's up for seeking election statewide for the first time. So while he is the appointed incumbent, he's never been elected statewide. And so one of the challenges has been understanding what has that role done, what has been that role, that position of that role in the midst of the pandemic over the last 6 months, 7 months. You know, what has the lieutenant governor been doing? Is that role necessary? If that role is not going to be visible and engaged? All very good questions, particularly as it relates to the importance of that position, because we know in the midst of this pandemic, the people are dealing with housing crisis, and the lieutenant governor has a role as it relates to housing and affordable housing. We know the seniors have been impacted significantly in our senior facilities and assisted living facilities, and the lieutenant governor has an active role in that. And veterans fall in that category as well. And so people are just really not clear. And some have even asked, do we even need a lieutenant governor? You know, if the person in that capacity is not going to be required to really step up and be engaged. But I think it's a perfect opportunity why people need to know what's in that role to create some more accountability, because it is a little ambiguous right now, but awesomely important functions that should be handled in that position. And my job has been to just educate people about that.
Well, I am so excited for you. Again, here is your link. And this is the first time you're actually running a statewide campaign. So you're having to do St. Louis all the way to Kansas City and everything.
Greenfield, Cape Girardeau, Joplin, up in Adair County, Kirksville, Maryville, Anyville.
Brenda, can I ask a quick question before you go to the next one?
Yeah.
The political question would be who has better barbecue, but I'm not going to answer that. But both mayors former mayors, current mayor have been on the show, and I think they're both wonderful. What's one positive trait about each of them that you like? Because you've worked with Quentin and with Sly, and I think they're just a gift to Kansas City. But, you know, not to get into details, but just like something positive about both of them that you like, why you liked working with each of them. Just like a short little snippet, and then I know Aaron has more questions for the panel.
They're both dynamic leaders, which is why I've supported them both. I supported Sly on his big initiatives that he put forward. I supported the Mayor Lucas and endorsed him after I, didn't win the primary. I endorsed him for mayor and a general. I was the runner-up, so to speak. But I would say uniquely, they are both very intelligent, very intuitive. Mayor Lucas and I had the be mindful to call him Mayor Lucas and I. We started practicing law around the same time.
Can't call him Q.
Yeah, I mean I can, but you know,
I'm joking.
we were baby lawyers together, so we grew up in practice together and ended up in politics together. So we've always been in the same sandbox, so to speak. So he has been a really good friend. We kind of talk about having this sibling rivalry thing where we really do have like a deep connection, like, you know, a sibling type of bond that we share. Absolutely. You know, you pick on him, I'm going to take up for him kind of thing. But at the same time, whereas Sly, Mayor James, he has been a big brother, a strong advocate. I don't know that I would have made it in my first election without Mayor James' support. He's been an amazing mentor, one of the most effective leaders I've ever worked with. You know, we didn't always agree on everything, but even when we would disagree, we'd try not to be disagreeable, because we're both lawyers and we can disagree and still maintain a good relationship. And he's still one of the people I call on to this day as it relates to political matters and insight, because I value his opinion. I appreciate it a lot more today than I did when we were working together as colleagues. But it's good to have that connection. Absolutely.
So one of the most awesome things about this show is that Scott and I decided to do this because we have such different networks. And so usually he brings on a couple people and I bring on a couple people, and then we mix 4 people you would never see together anywhere else up. And then it always ends up working out really well. So Scott, today, the people that I brought on were Alicia, Mikko. So I'm going to let you ask your guest questions. So we'll go to your guest, then I'll go to Mikko, and then you go to your guest. You can choose whichever one you want to choose first. That's why I'm not saying names. And then we'll just keep going like that, because that's one of my favorite things. You know all their dirt, and I know all my people's dirt. So then we get asked that.
I don't know about Derby. Jeffrey, you've been accomplishing so much lately, but the story I love the most is your persistence and always continuing to maintain relationships and always guiding the ship to a positive outcome. How do you keep such a level head and long-term vision with your relationships with people? Because I've never run into anyone that's ever had a negative interaction with you, and you always continue to keep things positive. What's the secret to your success on doing that people could learn from watching the show?
Well, I'm sure I could give you a list of people that could give you some negative thoughts, but let's skip over that for now. It's very kind of you to say that. I think the main thing is surround yourself with great people. And, I reach out to and I network and interact with people that I find to be good people already, good leaders. They have certain types of interactive skills that I find attractive to be around, interesting to talk to. They're doing things that no one else is doing. They're brave. They're out there trying to make a difference, trying to make things better than they found it, as you said. I've always kind of felt that attitude, but what works for me is I have the kind of touch it once rule. If I hear from somebody, I immediately respond. If I get something on my desk, I try to respond immediately. I don't like to let things pile up or accumulate. I learned early in my career that you can get very far behind and let people down and or not come through when you need to. But the way I do it now is I'm quick to respond and move on and get things done. You hear the phrase, if you want something done, find a busy person. That's the truth. And I find most of the things I do and the volunteers I recruit are also very, very busy people that are doing many other things. But I know that they will get it done immediately when asked and get through the tasks. And that's the way it works for me.
Aaron, do you want to go Mikko and then I'll go Ken?
Yeah. I told you this goes fast. We got 10 minutes left. So somebody's helping me out over here with a question for Mikko. So I'm going to pull this one up. Mikko, what has been the most surprising thing about living in Kansas City?
Great question.
That is a great question. I feel all of it has been surprising. Growing up in Arizona, living in California, and going to college in Miami, you kind of gain some sort of judgments around what the Midwest and Middle America is, the heartland is, and you think you have an idea, but it's that combined with the aging process and where I've gotten to. The landscape is gorgeous. The people, I feel like the people being so resonating with this spiritual work, being so open-minded and receptive of what it is we do. It was instantaneous, and it was undeniable that, wow, this is a place for us to be, because right now and here, people are really resonating with wanting something more out of life than just the the day-to-day grind, so to speak. And they want to thrive in this life and to enjoy and to be happy. And so that's been amazing. I would say the landscape, the people have been the most surprising as far as we didn't even choose to live here. We came here on a whim to work with somebody, and we fell in love immediately. So I would say I just fell in love in general. The one thing that has been difficult for me that my cosmic beloved makes fun of me is the driving in the city sometimes gets a little weird and chaotic as far as how the streets are. So that part has been interesting, the driving around the city streets. But as far as the most surprising thing, I would just say the receptivity of the warmth of the people, the beautiful, absolutely beautiful landscape, and the countryside here. I'm just in love with. So
that's how I feel about New York streets. I'm like, why are numbers on numbers? It doesn't make any sense when I'm trying to walk around the New York streets.
Yeah, here it's like you got to really focus on where you're going. You can't just kind of kick back and listen to some music, because all of a sudden there's a diagonal street you got to go down. And maybe it's just me, but that's all I know is about the construction. That's always seems to be right by my house around here. So we probably live close to each other. So, all right, Pat, you're up.
Yeah, I want to revisit what Jeffrey said. One thing about working with busy people, my secret sauce has always been working with moms, because moms literally get everything done. And so I always feel that that's a little secret sauce, and they're just always busy in general. Yeah. But I've never thought about just work with busy people, because people always assume that because people are busy, they can't get a lot done, which is completely the opposite. Kent, we talked a lot about hiring, and we even had someone in the chat mention that they're interested in looking at your company, which I thought was really cool. Now, as you're growing and you're scaling, what is a trait that you want to instill in your associates and employees to empower them to grow? I mean, it sounds like you guys are one of the coolest places to work in Kansas City, but what's the next step for how you're trying to grow and build?
So we obviously want to grow from within, and we pay a lot of attention to associate and even manager leadership programs, right? So everybody has a personal growth path on what they want to accomplish over the next, we have a 1-year chart and a 3-year chart, right? And we do a lot of leadership development here. So we have book clubs, which sounds kind of funny, but we just read Speed of Trust by Little Covey. And what we do is our managers and leadership take that book and they take it out to their teams, and they start to use some of the stuff he suggests in there. We're starting with the energy bus next week. And we believe that if you read the same book, you need it for the common frame of reference. Because a lot of us haven't worked together, with all these new people, that we can't say, hey, remember what we did last year, right? But I think beyond compensation, what people want to know is that you care about their growth. And they also, I believe that not many people working are financially independent, because I think most of the financially independent people are probably not working. Some people might be here just because they love to work. But if you're going to undertake that and you're going to be here, you may as well grow your tool set, right? And so we spend a lot of time developing, and not just with books. We have people do presentations. We change it up all the time. So tell us what's going on in client services, and we change the presenter, and people get all nervous. But then once they've done it a time or two, they get to learn that it's really not difficult, right? So I think we just give people the opportunities to expand and get out of their comfort zone, which several of the panelists have mentioned is important. I try on a daily basis to get outside of my comfort zone because I think that's how you learn, right? And in the military, they always try to have you set an example of being comfortable in uncomfortable circumstances. Absolutely. And I think that's what we want our people here, because we would like our current associates to be our future leaders. Much better to grow from within and much simpler, right?
I think sometimes people can think it's scary to train their people too much out of their comfort zones, right? And I just want to share a really quick story. I had an amazing videographer back in the day that was, to circle back to GEW, which we were talking about earlier. I pretty much had to beg him to do a speaking event there a couple years ago. Yeah. He did the speaking event. He was a total introvert, and he ended up coming to me, I think 3 months later, and he had learned so much in social and so much. He had found his voice that he was going to have a side hustle of wedding videos, ended up booking like 50 within his first month of his side hustle. So he just gave me a 4 months notice, like wonderful. And I think that's what people are scared that's happened. Well, what has happened now is I get to watch him grow his company. He's put more jobs in there. And then he's also become one of our biggest referral partners because he just still does video, right? So I think Scott and I talk about this a lot. It all ends up coming out at the end of the day if you're doing things right for people. Yeah. And somebody said kind of up here, kindness rules. And then they did say Scott Havens is one of the kindest people they know. We'll meet soon, John. I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah, I paid him.
So Scott, well, this was awesome today. A couple more comments I want to show you guys. First of all, Christine, I just love this. Open for work. So connect with Christine.
Christine is awesome.
Been listening to us about talking about networking. Network. Right now we are in COVID, so network online, and this is the right place. And then Joseph says, thank y'all so much. Great information or good information, he says. So I think that is really awesome. Jeff, I'm going to throw up Jeff's banner here too, and we'll throw up just because he sent it to me. This is leadershipkansas.org. And then Alicia's Canady from Missouri.com. We more than appreciate all of you coming on the show. We appreciate our sponsors so much, Bank of Blue Valley. We will put the link for their careers. So, Christine, make sure you go check out careers over there. And we will tag everybody so you can connect with everybody. Wrap us up, Scott.
Do you really want me to ask an icebreaker, or do you just want me to wrap up?
We've got 3 minutes. Do you think this panel can keep it to a 1 or 2 word answer?
I'm a little worried about this panel, but I think you guys can do it. You have 15 seconds to tell us what your retail or restaurant job was in high school. Alicia, go.
Alicia.
Alicia.
You're on. I think you're on mute, ma'am. There, you muted yourself, so I can't unmute you.
I did. So, restaurant. I worked at Burger King.
Boom. Chappie.
Fry cook.
Yep. Mikko.
Dry cleaners.
Dry cleaners. Kent.
Yeah, I worked at Winstead's as a dish dog, and then I got promoted to drive-through guy.
Ooh, that's all right.
What about you,
Aaron?
Scott?
Aaron,
I was fired from Sonic twice. I've told that story.
You got fired from Sonic twice?
Mm-hmm. I was terrible.
No,
couldn't roller skate.
Everyone always says couldn't roller skate. No, I just did not. I didn't like to go though. Something always come up.
Yeah. So I was at Papa Murphy's, and then I didn't want to go home because my parents make me stay home. So I would get cologne so I could go to my high school parties. So I would smell like pizza, onions, and sausage with like some really horrible cologne, and it didn't work out well. So Papa Murphy's. But Aaron, I'll let you wrap up. I just want to say thanks to Bank of Blue Valley for sponsoring us, and with 45 seconds, how do you want to wrap us up?
We did good. I just want to encourage you to go connect with people. Kent, we've got people down here that are going to come connect with you. I want to encourage you to vote. We are how many days away are we, Alicia?
21.
21 days. Head over to her website. Vote. Your voice matters. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. All right, now everybody waves.
Thank you.
We never did that in real life.